Hi guys, today I'd like to talk about the Scopes trial. Back when I was in high school, we actually studied it briefly and we watched the movie Inherit the Wind, which is not historically accurate. In the end, we have William Jennings Bryan die in a rather dramatic fashion where he clutches his heart and he collapses. And I don't remember if he actually loses in the movie, whereas in real life he did win on a technicality when Daryl actually asked Scopes to plead guilty. I actually located three newspaper articles. One of them is from the Baltimore Sun and two from the Washington Post. The one from the Baltimore Sun is headlined Colby to help Daryl defend John T. Scopes. And in this article, it actually mentions that two of Woodrow Wilson's Secretary of States were actually were actually involved in the trial. One on the defense, and of course William Jennings Bryan as the prosecutor. And they also mentioned that the American Civil Liberties Union actually asked Daryl or Clarence Darrow to headline the defense team, which Daryl did agree to. And the reason why the ACLU wanted Daryl to defend Scopes was the fact that he would dramatize the trial and it would bring all this attention to Tennessee, and that's what they wanted. They wanted the nation to watch what's going on in the trial. And it also briefly mentions that uh, they asked a number of clergymen, and I believe one of them was uh, Dudley Field Malone, to be an expert witness for the defense regarding Christianity. I just found it rather interesting that secretaries of state were actually involved in this case, and of course they were on the opposing sides. I just found that rather interesting. Uh, and one of the other articles that I found was actually an opinion piece, and this one was in the Washington Post, and it was by Will Rogers. And in this, uh, he talks about how he thought Bryan was wrong in trying to defend Christianity, if you will. The actual title of the opinion piece: "We might as well be monkeys if we act like them," and it actually has a little cartoon, and it shows Will Rogers standing in front of Bryan, and he says, "You ought to leave your millions to the monkeys, Bill." And it has a little building on it that says Animal Institute. And this was actually one of the quotes uh, in this little opinion piece that when Bryan died, he should leave his money to an animal institute. And I don't know the reason behind. I think it's just he was joking. This is supposed to be like a humorous uh, opinion piece, and in it he mentions that if people really don't care where we came from. Uh, in fact, the teaching of evolution in the high school at that time really didn't have that much effect. People still believed that God created man, but he actually mentions that if, we don't really know how we were created. If God wanted to tell us, He would have told us, and he does mention some stuff about the Bible, particularly the Ten Commandments, but he failed to realize that God did tell us how we were created, and it's actually found in Genesis 2. In fact, verse 7: "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." So the Bible is clear as far as uh, how we were created. And the other article that I found was actually an article in the Washington Post, but it was 2 years after the trial. And this one is headlined "Verdict in Scopes Trial is Reversed and Case Dropped." It's basically the case went before the Tennessee Supreme Court, and the Tennessee Supreme Court actually did uphold the law that Scopes was on trial for. It actually upheld it as constitutional, but they actually dropped his case uh, and reversed the verdict. And the reasoning behind the dropping of the verdict, to me, was technical. It actually mentions that the justice or the judge, Judge John T. Ralston, who presided over the monkey trial, if you want to call it that, uh, actually fined John T. Scopes $100 because the jury wasn't able to fine to hand down the fine. Basically, they although they found him guilty, of course he pled guilty, but they weren't able to give him the fine, and so Ralston actually fined him $100. And according to Tennessee law, any fine in the excess of $50 has to be brought down by the jury. So if Ralston was not within his legal means to actually charge him $100, the jury had to charge him the $100, and that's the reason why his case was reversed. I actually found that kind of interesting that eventually his case was reversed or his trial was reversed, and it was all because of a technicality. I really found that interesting. Uh, well, thank you for listening and have a good day.